I moved into the apartment for its silence. That was the selling point, really quiet. Not charm, not space, not cost. Just quiet. After the last 6 months I needed the kind of quiet that buzzed in your ears. The kind that didn't even have echoes. Room 3B of the Autumn Pines complex was as average as concrete gets. Beige walls, thin carpet, a tiny kitchen with a cracked microwave that still counted down, even when it wasn't cooking. The landlord, Miss Halloway, was quick to advertise the place as minimalist. But I knew that was code for the previous tenant stayed long enough to leave a story that no one wants to tell. When I moved in, there was only one thing that confused me. There was no closet, not a bedroom one, not a hallway one, not even a utility door. Just a single-room apartment, open plan, where the bed and living area shared space like awkward roommates. There was a fake door across from the bathroom that looked like it might have led to one once. It had hinges, but no handle. Painted shut, flush with the wall like whoever built it decided to erase it halfway through. I didn't mind. I told myself, less closet, fewer dark corners for my brain to spiral into at 2 a.m. I was there to start over, to finish my last college credits online, to write again, to sleep finally. For the first 3 nights I did, but on the fourth night the knocking started. It came softly, right as I was about to fall asleep. 3 slow knocks spaced out just enough to matter, from across the room, from inside the painted-over wall. I laughed at first. Told myself it was the pipes. It was an old building and the cold had settled early for October. But the next night it happened again. Same time, 3:13 a.m., not 3:00, not 3:15, 3:13 exactly. I knew because I checked, twice, 3 knocks, slow, faint. Someone just politely requesting the impossible. Open the door I don't have. From inside the wall, I didn't open it, obviously. I just stared at it in the dark, until my body overruled my brain and forced me to sleep. I didn't wake up until almost 11 a.m. the next day, heart pounding, head aching like I'd lost a fight with some dream I couldn't remember. The next morning, I asked the landlord about the door. "Oh, that," she said, her voice too practiced. "That used to be utility access, no closet there. Then what's behind it? Just wall, sweetheart, pipework, I think. Happens in these older buildings, weird places for old doors." She said it too fast, gave me that sugar smile landlords wear when they don't feel like lying convincingly. That night I didn't sleep. I sat on the foot of my bed with every light in the apartment on, facing the false closet door, wrapped in a hoodie with a kitchen knife in my lap. I stared at the wall like it might blink. 3:12 a.m. came. Then 3:13, 3 knocks, not friendly this time. Louder, sharper, and they came from deeper inside. It didn't sound like wood on wall anymore. It sounded like bone. My breath froze in my throat. This time I called out, "Who's there?" No answer, just one long drag sound like nails across drywall trailing downward before vanishing. I didn't sleep, didn't move. I sat there until the sun spilled through the blinds, trying to erase something it couldn't touch. That was 3 nights ago. It's happened every night since. And I know. Something's inside the wall. Tonight I placed my phone against it and recorded. At 3:13 a.m. the knocks came. When I played it back, I didn't just hear knocks. I heard something breathing. Something pressed against the plaster. Close, studying, waiting. There's no closet in this apartment. There never was, but someone knocks inside the wall like it's theirs. And every night, the knocks get louder. I didn't go to class the next morning. I didn't email my professor or eat breakfast or even move from that spot on the bed. I just sat and listened to the recording again and again, each replay confirming what I already knew deep down but couldn't accept. The wall was breathing. Not creaking, not settling, breathing. Long, shallow breaths that sounded just human enough to deny the comfort of something animal. You can tell what's alive by how it waits, and whatever was behind that wall, It was waiting for me. I thought about knocking back. Why, I don't know, curiosity, madness, the need to break the tension, but I didn't. Instead, I opened my laptop and tried to find any record of what this place had been before it was Autumn Pines. There wasn't much. An archive site linked it to a burned-down reform school from the 1940s, later repurposed into housing in the early 90s. But everything in between was a black hole. No news, no real estate filings of significance, and no floor plans. It was like the building existed outside of proper records for half a century. I did find one blurry black and white photo, classroom shot maybe. 3 rows of children with blank expressions, standing by a chalkboard that had been scrubbed too hard and too many times. The caption, St. Luthian's Boarding Academy, last known cohort 1943. I stared at the faces for maybe an hour. Every child wore one of 2 expressions, terror or apathy. Eyes too wide, mouths pressed shut like they'd been trained not to scream. A few had backs too straight, heads too tilted, like they weren't totally human. Or maybe that's what trauma does when it bakes into your bones, warps posture into a question. One kid in the back row drew my attention more than the rest, not because of anything dramatic, just. His stare, focused, a little off-center, not quite at the camera. His mouth was open just a sliver, and I could swear the longer I looked at him, the more I thought I could hear the sound of knocking again. I slammed the laptop shut. Paranoia? Maybe. Insomnia scrambles everything it touches after a while. But still, I couldn't shake this twisting guilt in my gut. Like somehow the moment I moved in, I'd stepped on something that had been buried too shallow and too long. That night I tried sleeping on the couch. Didn't matter. I woke up at 3:13 a.m. Knocks. 3 of them, loud this time, angry. Only they didn't come from the usual wall. They came from behind my couch. I stood up slowly and looked at the wall behind me. There was nothing there. No hidden panel, no old frame. But the paint looked newer than the others. Too flat, too clean. I pressed my ear to it. This time I didn't hear breathing. I heard a voice. A whisper. It said my name. Not like a call, like a memory. Jamie. I fell back, heart slamming against my ribs so hard I nearly choked. I grabbed my phone, tried to turn on the flashlight, but my battery was dead. It had been charging before I laid down, I swear it had. But now it was off. The whole room buzzed with this low hum. Not electrical, more like anticipation, like sound waiting to be sound. I finally snapped. I pulled the couch out from the wall and started knocking along the surface, looking for a hollow spot. I found one. Not right behind the frame, off to the side, maybe 3 feet up. I started pressing it harder and harder, and then the paint caved in. Not flaked, caved, like soft clay cracked open by pressure. Behind it wasn't wood, it was a hinge, an old rusted door hinge. I scraped more paint off, revealing lines, edges, covered in years of cheap plaster and denial. There was a door behind the couch, a real door. No knob, no frame, barely visible, but it was real. My heart was pounding so loud it swept the sound out of the room. I stepped back, didn't open it, not yet. Went back to the bed and sat, staring at my hands, covered in dust and faint flecks of red paint. The knocking didn't come again that night, but I didn't sleep either. The next day I asked the couple in 3C if they'd ever heard weird sounds at night. The woman answered first, said no. But the husband, his eyes lingered on me longer than they should have. And he said, stay out of the walls. I asked him what he meant, but he just shrugged and muttered something about the last guy in 3B. That's the thing, right? No one tells you the truth up front. I went back up to my floor and tested the wall again, scraped the edge farther. The tip of something cold met my fingertip. Metal, a handle, buried so deep it was nearly fused into the plaster. That night I slept with the lights on again. At 3:13 a.m. the power cut, full outage, no hum, no glow from my Wi-Fi strip, nothing, and then for the first time, I heard footsteps, not outside. Not in the hall, inside the wall. They sounded light at first, then closer, then running directly to the hidden door. They stopped inches from it, no knock, just breathing, waiting. The power came back 3 minutes later like nothing happened. My phone buzzed spontaneously, screen glitchy, showing 3 missed messages from unknown, even though I had airplane mode on. There was no content in any of them, just time stamps. 3:13 a.m. 3:13 a.m. 3:13 a.m. I didn't leave the apartment the next day. Couldn't. I sat with the door wide open, waiting to hear someone walk by, waiting to feel something human again. Footsteps from a neighbor, water running upstairs, a laugh, anything. But the hallway remained dead, hollow, like I was the only person on the floor. I started thinking about the handle behind the wall, about the voice saying my name, about that photo of St. Luthians and the trailer load of nothing occupying this building's history. Somehow, it was all connected. I didn't know how yet, but the feeling was worse than dread. It was curiosity clawing on the edge of fear. Like when you feel the floor shift beneath you, but you keep walking anyway just to see if the next step holds. That evening, just past 10, I stood again in front of the hidden door. I pressed my palms to it, listening for anything. No footsteps, no breathing, just silence. The wrong kind, not empty, watched. I made a choice I still can't explain. I went to the kitchen, grabbed a screwdriver, and twisted it under the dried edge of the plaster until the first full inch of the hidden door came loose. Paint flaked like old skin. The metal beneath groaned quiet, but it gave. I stopped. I wouldn't open it, not yet. But I could see it now. A handle welded from the inside, curved downward like it was meant to be pulled shut, not opened. And scratched beside it, faint but visible under the thin plaster coat, were letters carved like fingernail etchings. "Do not forget me," written in shaky, uneven lines. That night just before bed, I searched Reddit, thread after thread of people having strange experiences with hidden rooms, phantom knocking, early morning visitations. Most of it sounded like roleplay. Some of it seemed genuinely disturbed. And in one obscure thread, titled "Things Behind Drywall," I found a post someone had made 2 years ago. Only one upvote. No comments, account now deleted, but I'll never forget it. If you find a door where there shouldn't be, do not open it. It knows your name because it heard someone you love say it from the other side. I shut my laptop so fast it cracked the screen hinge. I didn't turn the lights off that night. Didn't lie down. I sat in the center of the room, dry-eyed and awake, waiting. At 3:13 a.m. the power cut again. Only this time so did everything else. The clock on my microwave stopped. My watch reset to default. My phone screen stayed black no matter how long I held the power button. There was no knock. There was something heavier, the wall where the door was side, like it was alive. Like it was waking up. I heard creaking, a shift, and then the handle twitched, moved, not much, just a nudge downward, a patient, tentative test. I didn't breathe, didn't blink. The lights flicked back on 31 seconds later. Only 31 seconds, but I swear I counted every one of them like they were years. I tried to sleep after sunrise. I couldn't. I closed my eyes for 2 seconds and dreamed of the wall breathing, closer each time. Breathing me in. Like when you put your ear to someone's chest, you feel their breath echo through bones. Only this thing didn't have bones. I saw a room on the other side, dark but lit faintly by something glowing blue, and people lined up along the walls, standing, motionless. Some of them repeated my name on loop, mouths out of sync with their own voices. Only one of them wasn't standing. She was sitting in the far corner, head tilted, smiling directly at me. I knew her. But I'd never seen her before in my life. When I woke up, I found something under my door. A note, handwritten, torn from a hotel pad, 4 words, "Don't let it in." No signature, no number, nothing. It wasn't slid under. It was wedged. jammed in tight like someone wanted to make sure I'd find it but not someone from the building. The handwriting was neat, slanted right, probably male. I searched the hallway again, but no one answered when I knocked. Later, I checked the mail lobby's CCTV box. It was off. Screen cracked like it had burned out years ago. I called Holloway again. Asked her who lived below me. She hesitated. No one, it's vacant, always has been. Then who signed for 3A? Silence. Then, don't go poking where your rent doesn't cover, Jamie, trust me. She hung up. I stood there holding the phone until my hand went numb. That night I didn't sit. I didn't wait. I moved the couch entirely, grasped the handle with both hands, and pulled. Dust cracked like ice. Paint gave. The door creaked forward half an inch before stopping, locked from the other side. Then a knock, 3 times, this time not asking to come out, but to be let in. The metal was cold, but not dead. It was pulsing. I pressed my ear to the seam again, and I heard it, a voice. Not mine, not the girl's, a third one, softer than breath, but larger. Deeper than actual sound. Almost time. The voice didn't stop when I pulled away from the wall. I could still feel it vibrating behind my teeth long after it disappeared into the dead silence of the room. I didn't realize I was crying at first. My cheeks had gone so numb they felt like wallpaper. No sobs, just tears filling my eyes, spilling out with no emotion attached. Not fear, not sadness, just something broken, something undone. Almost time. That's what it said. Almost what? I didn't want to find out. I spent that day packing. It wasn't even conscious. My body moved while my brain played static. I shoved clothes into a duffel, grabbed my laptop, dumped my notebooks in without thinking. It wasn't until I reached the front door that I froze completely. The handle was gone. Not broken. Not stuck. Gone, just clean wood, painted, like there'd never been a knob at all, like the door had never opened in the first place. I spun. The windows were different, no latches, no seams. No reflection, pure black like holes punched in reality and stretched until light forgot what it was for. I kicked the door. Nothing. No echo. Just that soft thunk sound drywall makes when it holds secrets behind it. I went to the kitchen, tried the drawers. The knives were gone. The microwave still blinked, 3:13, though it was 10 in the morning. The fridge was full of food I didn't buy. A gallon of milk stamped with an expiration date 3 years in the future. In the bathroom, the mirror was cracked, not symmetrical, like a spiderweb of fractures clustering around one point. In the center of it was my reflection. Only my eyes weren't mine. They were smiling. That kind of smile people wear when they dream about pulling off your skin and trying it on like a jacket. I slammed the door shut and backed into the hallway. It shouldn't have been a hallway. It should have been the living room, but now it was a long, narrow hall lined with faded red wallpaper. The floral pattern ticked like insects if you listened close enough. At the very end of it. Another door, not the front one. This one was old, worn brass knob, no number, no keyhole, just space. Space that leaned in at me slightly. Leaning? Yes. Like the whole hallway bent toward me ever so slightly. Like the weight of whatever stood behind that door couldn't be hidden any longer. I turned back to the living room of 3B, if you could still call it that. The couch was gone now. The wall, too, and in its place was the room from my dream. Dark. Blue-tinted light breathing faintly from either side. People, standing still. Lined up like statues that weren't always statues. Like they remembered being people for a little while and tried to keep the shape after. I saw her again. The girl in the far corner, still sitting, still watching. Only this time she wasn't smiling. Her mouth hung open, wider than any human smile. Too wide, teeth like teeth shouldn't go that far. Eyes white, cloudy, irises spinning like a finger stirring milk. And above her, shapes, not defined. Just movement, leaning shadows. Like that moment you wake up and something ducked under the bed fast enough not to be caught. Almost time. The whisper again, now from the hallway behind me. And the door creaked open. Slow, wide, wider, screeching dry wood peeled back until the hallway filled with light, but not golden or warm, blue, that same dead blue light. It reached me before the sound did, a low hum like bones rubbing against each other, like something forgotten learning how to move again. Then the first figure stepped through. Not tall, not short. No face, not really, just a blank stretch of skin that pulsed where a face should have been. It tilted its head at me. Then it waved. I stepped back and nearly tripped. And then I saw it, in its hand. A note, same notepad paper as before, same slanted handwriting. You opened the door, it's yours now. There were more behind it, figures lining up inside my apartment. No footsteps, no breath. Just watching, waiting. One stepped forward and barked a sound like language being born. In my mind, I knew what it meant, choice. Either step forward and meet them or let them in. And I ran. Through the hallway, toward what I thought was that worn-down exit door at the end. But when I opened that final door, no hallway behind me, no building around me, just water. An ocean, flat, endless. Quiet, and in the center of it stood a phone booth. Old, red, cracked glass, cord dangling like a snapped vein. It was ringing, not a loud ring, just a soft, sad chime. I didn't want to walk toward it, but I did. I stepped out onto the water, didn't sink, didn't float, just walked, like gravity forgot which way down was. The booth waited silently as if it had always been waiting. The phone rang again. I stepped inside. Everything was silent once the door closed. No more blue light. Just glass walls that showed nothing on the other side. The phone pulsed again in my hand, and I held it to my ear with a hand I no longer recognized. Jamie, the voice breathed. It was my own. My voice, tired, worn, asking, "Are you still there?" The phone stayed cold against my ear, my own voice, tired, echoing, repeated through the crackling line. "Are you still there?" I couldn't reply, I couldn't even will my jaw to move. Then something shifted. In the glass walls of the phone booth, my reflection flickered. Not once, not quickly, just subtly. Like someone was adjusting the dials on what counted as real for me. I was no longer alone in the booth. Not really. Behind my mirrored image stood shapes. Close. Pressed against the fabric of the glass from the other side, but not distorting it. Their outlines rippled through the edges like wet cloth hung in stasis. They moved even when they didn't. Then the voice on the phone spoke again. Still mine, still not mine. It's time to remember. The floor vanished. Not literally, I didn't fall. There never had been a floor to begin with. The world pulled itself inside out. One moment I was in the booth. The next I was standing in my apartment again. Room 3B, lights off. Old couch. Plaster wall still cracked where the door had been appearing. Only one difference. The door was wide open. No blue light, just black. No ambient sound, no hum, no wind, just absence. Pure absence. Within it, a stairwell. Ancient brown carpet on old wooden steps descending into what should have been impossible. I could feel air rising up from it, thick, stale. Like nothing had breathed below that stairwell since time forgot to open a window. On the floor in front of the opening was a piece of paper. Notebook paper. Torn edges. Old wrinkled creases. 4 words, "You chose to stay." Memories started rushing in then, not new ones, not fresh ones, old ones. Layered between cracks and forgotten mornings, beneath moments I'd chalked up to stress or anger or sleep paralysis. 4 years ago, I lost someone. Her name was Claire. She'd been living in this same building, a floor down. Vanished one night after texting me something strange. What if walls are just regrets we forgot how to seal? She was never found. I stopped looking, stopped everything. But I'd buried that trauma so deep, I didn't even remember renting here was her old complex. Room 2B, the one directly below me. And now it made sense. Why I kept seeing her mouth in dreams without sound. Why my own voice called out from behind dry wall in the wrong places. Why the note, the first one that read, "Don't let it in," wasn't warning me of something. It was her, begging me to stop it before it took someone again. But I hadn't. I'd listened to the knocking. I'd opened the damn door. I was the key all along. And now that door. It wasn't closing, not ever. It's been a week. Or maybe not. Time doesn't work normally anymore in 3B. The clocks spin backwards on some days. The days don't end unless I close my eyes and will them too. People knock sometimes. Neighbors, cops, a landlord's voice over the intercom. But they always knock at 3:13 a.m. I don't answer, I don't sleep anymore, I just listen and wait. Sometimes the wall whispers new names, names I don't know yet, but I will. I think they're future tenants. People who will find another hidden closet, another painted-over door. I try jotting them down on scraps of paper. I tape them over the cracks. Maybe they'll get the message, maybe not. The last time the phone rang from the booth, I didn't answer. I let it ring until the glass shook. Then silence, when I looked again inside the glass. I wasn't in the reflection anymore. Just open space and distant knocks coming from the edges of distance. Things pass through now. Shadows that leave colder shadows. Names I forgot I had. This isn't a haunting. It's not a curse. It's a door. And I let it in. So now I stay. In 3B, in this whispering place that used to be my apartment, where knocking happens backwards. And breath comes from the walls. And locked doors never needed handles, just someone to remember them long enough to open. Maybe if you're reading this, you've found a door too. You've heard the knocks. One piece of advice: if it ever asks you to open it, don't. Because once you do, it learns your name too, and it never forgets yours.